Hi folks, thanks as always for joining me and for your support, especially the Patreons over at patreon.com/Stephen Cronin. Very much appreciated as always. Today I've used a photograph I took a couple of years ago, I think it was, in Sutton Park, one autumn winter's day. I'll show you that in a sec. So we're just simple scene, walking through the woods, little figures there in the distance, loads of trees. Lots of rigger work in this one with all the trees and whatnot. So before I show you the photograph and the colours, quick plug of the book, Watercolour Painting Made Simple, Volume 3. Loads of step-by-step photographs just to guide you through each painting. This is on Amazon, it's hardback, softback, Kindle. Just follow the links in the description. There's 9 paintings in there, so that'll keep you going for a bit. So let me show you the colours that I've used for this one. So if we get the palette the right way around, for this one I've used ultramarine, lemon yellow, Payne's grey, alizarin crimson, raw sienna, burnt umber and light red. And as 99.9% of the time, most of it's done with a large Ron Ranson 8 brush. That's the 45mm one. And then a couple of rigger brushes, a number 3, then just a tiny one. The photograph, if I can just bring me, if you can see my laptop here. This was, like I say, Sutton Park. So we've got our nice path running straight through the trees either side. So like I said, loads and loads of rigger work, popping all these trees in. So let's get painting. So kicking off with just some clean water. Then I'm going to drop in a bit of background colour. So I'm just going to go a bit of alizarin crimson, raw sienna. Just going to work that down to the bottom. I'm going to clean the brush. I'm going to put a bit of ultramarine in the sky, represent the blue that you can see. Push that in from that side first. I'm going to mix a bit of Payne's grey now as well, just for a bit of variation. Just going to soak up the bits that are dripping down the paper. I'm just going to brush in a bit of red, just to inject a bit of colour into the scene. A bit of red on this side as well. A lot of this will just fade off as I put other colours over the top, like there with a bit of ultramarine. So I'm just doing the sort of background colours first, and then I'll go back to the sky in a sec. So there's like a sort of path coming down. I'm just constantly referring to the photograph. So what I want to do next is, first I'm just going to use a dry brush, and whenever I can see any paint just dripping down the paper, I'm just soaking it up, and this sort of doubles as clouds. Now, talking of clouds, I can pop a bit of alizarin, a bit of Payne's grey, and just have just a hint of a few clouds here and there. Not a lot. That's all I'm going to do, just that. Now I'm going to mix all those colours that I've just done, all the sky colours. I'm going to pop in some of the distant trees. That I can see along the horizon line. A few more on this side. Just using the corner of the hake brush. So I'm going to switch to the rigger brush. I'm going to go a bit of brown, a bit of blue, and then a whole mass of ones that are a little bit closer. Some of these are going right up out of the top. Some a little bit shorter, because a little bit further away. I'll put the foliage on in a minute, but for now I'm just getting the trunks in. Do a few on this side as well. Just keep reloading the brush. Plenty of paint, lots of water. A lot of these will fade off if your paper's still wet. Mine's just starting to dry a little bit now, so I'm getting quite sharp edges. Then we've got a few leaves, twigs, branches and things growing all sorts of directions. Now I just want to make sure this paper's flat before I go any further. The paper has stretched a little bit. I'll just let it stretch while I'm painting. You can let it pre-stretch before you start painting if you want. Some people like to tape it down as well. It's entirely up to you. Also, you don't have to have it angled up like this, almost 90 degrees. It's just for the camera purpose, really. I just want to put a little bit of foliage on some of those, not a lot, just a hint. And what I might do is just soak up some of this rubbish I got scattered about the palette. It's just a hint of something up there. See, I'm not blocking it in. You can still see those clouds in the sky between the trunks, between the foliage. Just very light touch. If you're worried about overdoing, just do a couple and then stop and look back. Right then, I want to put a bit of green in now. I haven't used lemon yellow yet, so I'm just going to clean the brush. A bit of lemon yellow. There's a bit of grass along here. I'm just going to quickly sweep that in. There's bits of mud as well, so you can see some of the sky reflections in the water. So I'm just putting those reflections there. Then I'm going to go back with a bit of burnt umber, a bit of light red, and start doing this area again. A bit of ultramarine, just to darken it up a bit there and there. Back into those colours. Let's go on this side as well. A bit of light red. Ultramarine. It's quite shadowy on this side. Quite dark in tones. Pushing this up to the grass, sort of grassy path. Get a bit of Payne's grain there as well. See a few things growing here and there. It's just fingernail scratching out. Come back to that in a bit. Let's go over to the other side. A bit more light red. A bit more there as well. A bit of brown. Push it up to the side of the path. Right then. Next, so the trees, we've got the main blocking in the back. Now I want to put some foreground ones in, so back to the rigger brush, bit of brown, bit of blue, dark mix. Now these ones are going on a bit stronger, and you can see the difference now. Brown, blue, push down a little bit to get that broader stroke, because they're a little bit closer. So the trunks are going to be a little bit wider, a little bit darker. You know, a few things, a few leaves coming off, a few twigs and branches. Let's get that a little bit thicker. Let's have another one down there. Again, pushing down, broad stroke, bit of brown, bit of blue, plenty of paint and water. That's going right off the top, and then it's got a few twigs and branches going off either side. Back into the paint. Let's pop another one in there. Just keep reloading the brush as necessary. Push it down to get a broader stroke. If you want it a little bit thinner, just don't press down as much, simple as that. A few twigs to the left, a few to the right. That's that one done. Back into the brown and blue. Let's have another one over there. And you can just continue doing this until you feel as if you've got enough foreground trees. But obviously don't put too many in and block in everything you do. You need to be able to see through the gaps into the distance. Let's have a big one down there. I'm going to press really hard now. Just to get a nice broad stroke. Let's do one or two thinner ones. These are slightly further back, so they're not as thick. Slightly further away. Should have done these ones first, really. I'm just filling in these gaps now. Well, I'm going to start doing some ones on the right now. So same two colours, bit of brown, bit of blue. And you can see the stronger tones of these foregrounds one compared, contrasting against the lighter tones in the background. So it helps create that sort of three-dimensional look. Reload the brush. Let's have another one there. You can use the hake to do these. You can use like a sort of chisel-edged hake, which is what I used to do for quite a while. Then I found they just looked a little bit more realistic. It takes longer using the rigger brush, but I think the results are a little bit better. You can sort of wriggle it as you're going up, and you sort of, with the hake brush, I tended to find that they came off just a little bit too straight. Whereas with this brush, you can sort of just wiggle it slightly as you're going up. And it just makes it look a bit more tree-like. Let's have a few things down there. Have one over there, just cut it straight across there. Always look to sort of make the most of your contrast. So I'm pushing that one right out into that light area there, deliberately, straight across. Right then, back to the hake brush. Let's get back into that light red. Down some colour. Bit of colour down here as well. It's that ultramarine. Bit of Payne's grey. What I might do is just check that it is flat against this board. It's quite a sort of, it's an autumn. I took this photograph ages ago, somewhere in Sutton Park. It looks sort of around autumn time, possibly winter. All the leaves have gone, so I'm not going to bother. I'm going to worry about painting any leaves on these foreground trees. Let's give that a quick dry. I'll do it, just take advantage, just scrape a few things in the fingernail. I think what I'm going to do now is pop a few shadows in. So, shadow mix. Clean the brush, I don't want too much water on it. I'm just going to go a bit of brown, a bit of red, and a bit of blue. Something like that. And I'll just try and pick out some of the individual tree trunks. Now then, so I'm going to sort of have the shadows coming, something like that. Let's have another one from the other one. Oh, massive shadows around here. Just darken that sort of en masse. We've got a few. I'll pop a few little shadows up here like that. Give that a quick dry. Actually, can I get a few more shadows in without going completely over the top? Oh, I'm going to stop there now. I'm wondering if I can just scrape a few little stones and things in. Or even just I think that's about as much as I'm going to do with the scraping, I think. I'll get a little rocks here and there, just down there. Most of it's dried, so I can't really do a fat lot with that. Apart from where I've wet it. I'm going to leave it now. Stop fiddling around with it. Give it a quick dry. Now I want a little figure, need a focal point. I don't think sometimes a few recent paintings I've done, I've got much sort of strong light coming through. I think the light alone can serve as a focal point. This isn't one of those, unfortunately. Let's take the little brush, little rigger brush. And then just on a stick. Two little figures walking off. their little shadows in. That's just a tad darker. One, two, do 3 little birds in the sky, and I'm going to call that one finished. All I've got to do now is stick my name in the corner. Pop my name there. Oh. Let's stick a mount on it, see what it looks like. There's a finished picture of the mounts. So if we go and have a closer look at it. Back first, let's just have a quick look down there at the photograph that I was working from. I think this was one of those where I probably prefer the photograph. I don't think I've got quite the effect I was looking for. You can see in the photo the path sort of, there's quite a lot of depth to the path, whereas mine, it's just not quite the same. I haven't quite managed to capture that. So if you look at the figure, where I've put the figures over there, in the photograph to scale, they'd be really, really tiny, whereas mine are quite big. So my path probably starts right up here somewhere. I haven't quite got that depth in the foreground, but not to worry. So looking at the sky, very simple sky. You can see a few clouds in there, although most of it is sort of obscured, the clouds I'm talking about, by the dry brush, well, almost dry foliage, which was just basically all the dirty bits on the palette, really. Just a whole mass of twigs and branches and foliage there. You can see all the first trees I put in. See how the trunks have just faded off into the distance. Contrast those against the foreground ones, much darker, stronger tones. See that sort of depth and distance it helps create. Same on this side, trees belonging to all that foliage in the distance, and then the foreground trees. Put in, using the same brush, all I've done is just press down a little harder to get a much broader stroke and use stronger paint, more paint, less water. Then we've got these bushes and trees right in the distance there, and then lots of predominantly sort of red and burnt umber in these sort of brackety areas. Same on the other side. Scraped a few things out with a fingernail, plus the odd stone here and there where the paint was still. I'd let it dry, so I couldn't really do much scraping. Just a little bit of it here in the foreground, and then just some simple shadows. Just cut straight across the path there for maximum effect. Although possibly might have done 1 or 2 more, just to try and make the most of that. Also sort of darkened it a bit more over in this sort of shadowy area amongst all the trees with that same shadow mix. So that's that for that one. I hope you enjoy that. Thanks as always for watching, for your support. Thanks to all my patrons for supporting me over at patreon.com/Stephen Cronin. Much appreciated. Remember, all the books are on Amazon if you want to see those. All the links are in the description if you fancy having a look. So keep practicing. If you've got any questions, please ask, and I'll see you again soon.